Hello, Dr. Hankson and fellow classmates. My name is Tabitha Hughes, and I'm going to be talking to you this week about our topic of why or why not do we see the concept of Western civilization being relevant today. I will be arguing that I do believe Western civilization is relevant today in our modern society because I firmly believe that if we don't look to the past, if we don't learn from the past, we are condemned to repeat it. I think that every person, whether it's a human being individually, a group of people, a society, a civilization, can all trace our roots back to a beginning point. And even though I know that there are a lot of people, a lot of events, a lot of things in Western civilization that are not what we would consider bright marks on our historical record, just looking at the 20th century with the Holocaust and the fascist governments and the genocide that's been perpetuated on specific groups of people, that alone is enough to blemish the mark on Western civilization. But it doesn't diminish the role that Western civilization has played on the creation of the world. It also doesn't mean that we don't recognize that there were other civilizations that also contributed to the sharing of ideas and the exchange of knowledge. The East, the Orient, Africa, talking about ancient Egypt, you've got India. So you've got all of these conglomeration of beautiful cultures that come together to paint the picture of the world. But if we're looking at European history and American history, I think we firmly have to understand and recognize the role that antiquity, especially the Greeks and the Romans, played in the progression of our civilization as we know it. It was interesting to read the work this week. For example, in Lawrence Birkin's article, What is Western Civilization? He says, to begin, a civilization may be regarded as the largest cultural unit about which a linear history may be written. So I think when we think about Western civilization in regards specifically to European and subsequently American history, I think that you can see that there is a direct connection and you can see a linear progression. Now, granted, in certain spots of that history, it may get a little like a squiggly line, especially when you look at the Dark Ages after the fall of the Roman Empire in the West. But as the classics and antiquity was rediscovered, you certainly see the connection of the dots to our ancient cultures that influenced us. The other article that I really liked this week was by Kwame, and I think it's Appiah, but it was on the Guardian site, and it said there is no such thing as Western civilization. I loved that he used Sir Edward Burnett Tyler's definition of what a culture is. And Tyler defined culture as that complex whole, which includes knowledge, belief, arts, morals, laws, customs, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. So when we look at Western civilization, I think we're really looking at the culture that is influenced and intertwines and evolves over time from all of these connected dots and pieces of our history. Appiah says culture isn't a box to check on the questionnaire of humanity. It is a process you join, a life lived with others. And really, that is what humanity is about. It's the connection that we have with each other, with other groups, with other cultures, with other people. It's how we learn, and that's from each other. So I think Western civilization gives us a great starting point to study the connectivity of the human race in terms of European and Western development. Again, not to exclude other civilizations that are out there, because of course we know that the Arabs, for example, they preserve the works of the Greeks and the Romans. It's from them that the Dark Ages came out of and discovered those again. But when we're looking at Europe and subsequently later America, our tradition is typically one from the Greeks, the Romans, Judeo-Christianity, and so that influence. And then, of course, the last reading that I really enjoyed was Bradley J. Burzer's What Exactly is the West? And in one quote I really liked from him, he said, the primary key element that might be the source of all being, according to the Greeks, was logos. And what that really stands for is inspiration, word, fire, thought, and imagination. And if we're looking at Western civilization, I think that that encompasses logos. And I think that's why it's important to study Western civilization even today. Thank you.